about change. It is about bringing communication into your life. And then when you think about it, you wonder, what is communication all about after all? What is Toastmasters doing here? You know, marketing about communication and communication skills and whatever, right? So I was just thinking about it for a while, and it occurred to me that communication is a very broad word for a lot of different things. We work in the communications industry. We all are part of communications. We all know about communication technology. So what are the 3 things that we need to communicate? Anyone who wants to volunteer? What are the 3 things you need to communicate?
Voice.
We need voice, okay?
Language.
Language.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Medium.
Pardon?
Medium.
Medium.
People to hear.
People to hear, of course, yeah. Right. Pardon?
Need to be alive.
Need to be alive.
Thought process working.
Thought process working. That's 8.
Listening.
Listening, yes.
And you need to have something to talk about.
Something to talk about, right, very right. So all these things are the right things about communication. But the 3 main things that you need is a sender, a receiver, and a medium. Kiran said, right? You need a sender who actually talk, the person who has those ideas, a receiver who can receive your ideas, and the medium in between. So if you think about, correlate between communication technology versus communication in whatever we do in day-to-day life, let's try to look at it this way. I'm the sender here, right? I'm talking, and I'm trying to make sense to all of you sitting here, right? You're all the receivers. And the medium that I'm using is language, delivery, content, confidence, all these different things that you mentioned. So all these things come into picture when you talk about communication, when you talk about trying to communicate. But the interesting thing is that whenever you speak, you don't actually communicate, right? Speaking and communicating are 2 different things because it depends on the interpretation that your receiver has finally at the end of the day. You might intend to say something, but the receiver gets something else. Right? So the intent of the communication is again what is very important in how we communicate. Now, another interesting thing is the receiver of the communication has to receive your intent correctly. So what are the things that go into making that content, delivery, and language more effective? It is your eye contact. It is the way you project your voice to the receiver. It is the way you can confidently say what you're saying, right? So these are 3 things that probably go across in the medium with language, content, delivery. You need eye contact, you need body language, you need voice modulation, you need so many different things that go as part of communication. So a communication is a very holistic view to look at. It's an entire sphere of life itself. Because all these things are what we do every day of our life, every day in our lives, right? Now, we know GSM, we know CDMA, we know all these different technologies, and all these technologies keep getting upgraded generation after generation after generation. 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, whatever. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen in human beings. Human beings born and they learn to communicate that very first instance. But when they die, that doesn't, there are no upgrades that happen to the next person who is born, right? So each person communicates in his own way and learns in his own way. There are no upgrades. So you tend to be in square one when you're born in the lifespan of communication. So if you look at it in that perspective, you realize that all of us, nobody can preach. I can't preach saying that communication should be done this way or that way, because all of us have to probably explore what communication is all about in our own life and try to bring it in to whatever we do, right? So the exploration of communication has many, many dimensions. Communication can be done without saying a single word, right? There is a lot of communication, there's a lot of meaning in silence, for example. You can be silent when you're having a bad time and the opposite person understands, oh, this guy is in a bad mood or whatever, right? So there is language in that silence. There is meaning in the silence too. You remember the song, when you say nothing at all, right? You still sing to me, right? So what I'm trying to say is communication need not have words in it. Communication need not be full of language, need not be full of style and vocabulary and language and delivery and so on. But that is another aspect of communication. So if you look at the dimensions of communication, there are many, many aspects, many, many dimensions to communication itself. What we do in Toastmasters is look at one dimension of communication, which is public speaking. And that one dimension of communication, public speaking, encompasses a lot of things and a lot of aspects of whatever I spoke about just now, right? that is about language, delivery, content, body language, eye contact, confidence, all these different things merge in a lot of different ways when you do public speaking. The aim of Toastmasters is to make that public speaking a worldwide reality. It is to make this communication possible across borders, across cultures, across dimensions, different dimensions of communication itself. I might pause here. That's another way to communicate. I might go back. That's another way to communicate. So I just want to leave this thought in all of you. That look at communication not just as one medium which is talking and trying to convince the other person, but also as a mean of mankind itself, as a mean to go forward in life itself. Because all of us in this journey are probably trying to find ways and means to communicate our own ideas of life to ourselves. And that is the ultimate communication that all of us can do, that is talk to ourselves. Right? So with that thought in mind, I would leave now and hand over the session back to Sumit. And, take care. Bye-bye.